This episode of Capes and Lunatics is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. Get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
This is Luca Perich, and you're listening to the Capes and Lunatics podcast.
Recording has started. Hello and welcome once again to Superconnectivity. I'm your host, Charlie the Professor Esser. And with me, as always, is the blue-eyed bomber from the Burg of Pits.
Phil me and Perich.
Hey, Philippe. Welcome in backins. Welcome to this week. So, let's talk about the new show that just showed up, where we are forced to question reality, not know what our relationships are, see things that seem to be not real in front of us, and have to analyze that for what the larger story is going to become. Of course, I'm talking about Trickster on the CW. Philip, have you seen Trickster yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Not. So that's a 9 o'clock show on the CW. It is a Canadian import, so right there you know it's Degrassi level good. I gotta say, I really like this show. It is, it's a show about basically, here's the basic premise. Our protagonist, a young man, has a mom who seems to be somewhat schizophrenic. Yes, that show. And although they ease into, this is what's neat about it. They ease into, which is so typical of mental illness. If you've ever spent time with the mentally ill in social settings, you know that there is this moment where on one level, you just think of them as, oh, yeah, you're just a fun party person. And then you're like, oh, no, that's mania. And the framing device at the start of this is this woman is seeing this man taking her baby. She says, you can't take my baby, yada, yada, yada. The person is walking away, then she does this like kind of primal scream thing. The guy's eyes bleed black, and then we jump ahead in time. And we see the young man, so spoilers for the first episode. We see the young man is now grown, the baby is now a young man. His mom is partying and having a wild time with others. And we also see that the young man is actually sort of selling Molly because he has a job at a chicken shack, and people say, you know, hey, I want the extra salty fries, and so they pay him for the order. He pockets the excess of the order and drops Molly into the bag. That's the premise, and we see that this drug dealing kid is basically supporting his crazy mom and his deadbeat dad. And at some point in this, we see the guy from the beginning sort of show up. And we realize that, oh, this is the Trickster, this is the Raven. Because he turns into the Raven, at least that's what we're led to believe. Although the kid also says, oh, am I going crazy like my mom did? So that's an interesting aspect of this story where we don't know, is this reality or is this kid's mental illness surfacing? Obviously, it's a CW show. It's called The Trickster. Most likely there's going to be a mystical explanation for the madness, but, you know, if you want to just watch it as if you want to be a person who wants to be open for any story, it makes for a good story, because you do say, oh man, maybe he is all crazy. And as all of us who love to plumb the depths of internet lore, we know they were crazy the whole time is actually one of the most popular urban legends on the internet. So it makes for a fun show to watch and to see what we can do. But yeah, I like it. Like I said, I like that it's a Canadian import because, this is the advantage of COVID as there are advantages, is that, we need IP, we need intellectual properties, and it's not like they can say, oh, this was a hit show in Canada, let's make an American version. They said, oh, well, just import the Canadian version. So for once, the U.S. is like a season behind the Canadians on a series. So this could be the forever night of CW shows. It's got a great teen cast, which is what you want on a CW show. I think it's the kind of show Little Hellfire would like. So, she likes Supernatural. They said, hey, if you like Supernatural, you'll love Trickster. So maybe if she wants to see, young men of northwestern native descent, this is for you. It's kind of cool because he's got our protagonist has a really fat best friend, and it's kind of interesting because his friend is a gamer, and he's like, yeah, I got my account because there's this whole thing because his mom owes this drug dealer money, and and he's trying to figure out how he's going to get the money before this drug dealer kills her. And then we find out that actually the mom actually solved her own problem without him, which is also a delightful turn of events. The fat kid sells his, in a little gift of the Magi turn, he sells his account because he has this gaming account that is, has all these rare and special weapons. Mm. And, yeah. Exactly. So he has all these exclusive weapons and things in his account. He sells that, gets his friend the money, and then his mom didn't even need the money. The mom actually talked the drug dealer into doing insurance fraud, and then slept with him, and then solved her own problems because it ain't about you, superhero. It ain't about you. So I really liked that in the first episode. I'm looking forward to the next few episodes of Trickster. I may start live tweeting Trickster. We have to see. Because it's a 9 o'clock show, which is a perfect time for live tweeting except when you fall asleep. So It's the best time for live tweeting is 8. That's the best live tweeting time because I'm not drunk enough to pass out, but I'm also not fighting with everyone else for the TV by 8. So, but in this moment, it's a pretty good show. I do like it. Is there anything you're watching right now that's interesting you, Philip? Is there some show you'd like to pitch and say, hey, here's the deep dive on my show?
Trying to think what's new. We just discussed WandaVision on Capes and Lunatics, and you and Moz are going to be...
There's nothing more to say about it.
Again, we don't have the whole story on that.
Yeah.
There hasn't been a lot new. I know, like Lilith and I were saying, Batwoman, the second season starts this Sunday, so...
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. We'll see. That actually got kind of a weird shout out in because GLAAD does the ratings about LGBTQ plus representation in the media, and I get their point, which is that because there's fewer shows being produced, there's less main characters, and also a lot of shows that and this is sort of this thing is that there's LGBTQ representation in the new season. Call Me Kat has a very prominent gay character, which I love because he's a older dude. He is not a tip because usually a lot of. Yes, he is sort of a clownish character because it's the guy who played Beverly Leslie on Will and Grace. But at the same time, I do feel that he shows that you can be an older gay gentleman, and that is actually okay. And I don't think that's an image we get enough of outside of British comedy. Where there's a great series with Sir Ian McKellen, and I'm blanking on the name of it right now, but I watched every episode, and it's brilliant. And since Call Me Kat is a Americanized version of a British import, it makes perfect sense to me. So I like that. So I get I get the feeling Call Me Kat has a bunch of these great BBC shows that kind of got mushed together from Fleabag and Miranda, and maybe a little bit of Serena McCollum's show, which I think it was called Vicious. I think it was called Vicious because it was about catty actors. So but it was delightful. You'd love it. And moving on from there, what was I saying? I don't know. But moving on from there, there is news right now, which is that apparently the rumors of Charlie Cox in Spider-Man aren't overly exaggerated and are now done. I don't know.
I know, but it's like, doesn't that seem weird that they're like, oh yeah, he just wrapped filming on Spider-Man 3, and it's like, wouldn't we have heard about this before he finished everything?
Not necessarily. Especially, and this is the thing, they make the point that he's playing Matt Murdock. He may never actually be Daredevil in the series.
He might just be a lawyer. Yeah.
So if they just did courtroom scenes, and it's just Charlie Cox showing up to set in a suit, that's not going to get as easily leaked.
Well, maybe.
And so that could be a very interesting thing if we get the entire Daredevil legal crew. Maybe even a reference to another legal drama coming up, She-Hulk, which is also rumored to have
Jessica Jones.
Jessica Jones. I'm trying to remember the actress's name.
Who?
I want to say it's the actress who plays Jessica Jones.
Krysten Ritter.
Krysten Ritter, yeah. I get Krysten Ritter and Kat Dennings mixed up, and I know they're not the same people because they are clearly not the same people. But the K's, they get filed under K. You know how my brain works. And so I'm like, it's not Kat Dennings. No, don't tell me it's Kat Dennings. I know it's not Kat Dennings. It's Krysten Ritter. So, yes, Krysten Ritter is rumored to be in the new She-Hulk story, which makes me wonder, will we see She-Hulk in this too? Will we see some Jennifer Walters in this? Will there be these other things? Maybe not even Jennifer Walters, but like a reference to, oh yeah, you probably want to talk to Walters. She's the one who handles this kind of stuff. It's like, look, I don't have enough money for Walters. Can you help me out, Mr. Murdoch? I understand you help people in these situations.
Or like your theory, maybe we get a Jennifer Walters, but no She-Hulk.
Well, that's the idea. Well, that's what I've always said. It was like, Jennifer Walters doesn't have to be She-Hulk yet. In fact, as I've always said, the best argument is that She-Hulk is what people call her because she sued S.H.I.E.L.D. or the U.S. military or someone after the Hulk wrecked Harlem. Basically saying, this isn't the Hulk's fault. This is the military's fault for bringing the Hulk to Harlem. That S.H.I.E.L.D. and the military took actions that were detrimental to Harlem, and they are the ones to blame. So, also I like the idea of Jennifer Walters doing, either pro bono, but also just like injury law stuff. So, it's pretty good that it would be a tort law, that she would be a tort lawyer more than the criminal law that most people think about, when it comes to these things. Because when you think about it, like really, Matt Murdock mostly handles torts. Mm-hmm. He does very little criminal law. His like one bit of criminal law that we see is pretty much the Punisher case. But aside from that, everything else he's handling is actually all torts. So, I'm just saying, I think a lot of the cases that someone like She-Hulk or Matt Murdock handles are going to be torts. They're going to be like, oh, hey, the actions of this person caused injury, give us money. And so that's the thing. So it would be very interesting if we see Matt Murdock in Spider-Man, if there is a backdoor for She-Hulk in that as well. And that would be a very interesting idea that they're going to have all the Netflix stuff show up in Spider-Man properties. Because it's like, we want to keep some separation, but tell you what, let's put all the Netflix guys over there. And we're going to just slowly move them into the regular MCU. So that would make sense. But I would love to see Krysten Ritter in She-Hulk. And actually, here's my big prediction. Big prediction for She-Hulk. Do you know why Krysten Ritter is in She-Hulk?
Why?
because she's trying to get Patsy out of the raft.
Oh, nice.
So she goes and says, "Hey, Ms. Walters, I was given your name because I heard you once sued the government over Hulk stuff." She's like, "Yeah, I did that. My friend Patsy shouldn't be in jail. My friend Patsy needs to be released, and she's being held under criminal activity, under cruel and unusual situations. This, of course, will eventually lead to our Thunderbolts series, where we are going to see that, Zemo is going to form his Thunderbolts with other people at the raft. Because it doesn't matter if you have superpowers or not. You fought superheroes, we're going to call you a supervillain. We're putting you in the raft. And this is what we're building. And maybe that's how we're going to introduce Norman Osborn, too. Ooh. Maybe that's where we first see Norman Osborn, is he's a political appointee to run the raft.
All right, well, I looked this up. It was after you said Kat Dennings' name. Do you know what cast list she's on?
Which cast?
WandaVision.
She is, really?
Well, listen to this. Kat Dennings, Randall Park is also on there.
Really?
And James Spader is the voice of Ultron, it says.
Yes. Well, I do know Randall Park was in there. He's playing Jimmy Woo.
Yeah.
So that's part of it.
We're getting Jimmy Woo. We're getting, Darcy. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, well, Kat Dennings. Yes, Kat Dennings is going to be in, which again goes to that idea that she's a connective tissue character. Mm-hmm. And she's not freaking Natalie Portman, who's going to be freaking... Sure. She's Natalie Portman's assistant, so... Although maybe we're actually going to find out that, no, actually she was always a genius. She was just always standing next to Natalie Portman. It's sort of the Ben Grimm effect, like I said. It's like, you can be a genius, but if you're always standing next to Reed Richards, everyone thinks you're dumb. And if you don't really feel obliged to dissuade them of their idea that you're dumb, people are going to think you're dumb, but it's okay because you know how smart you are.
Or she, it wasn't. What was Jane, like an astrophysicist or something? Yeah, Darcy didn't know about that, but she's like maybe she's like some genius computer hacker or something.
Well, she could be any, and actually she could be a genius astrophysicist too.
She could,
just not Jane Foster level.
That's true.
Because Jane Foster had the doctorate, she was working towards it. She was the intern. It's sort of like, and to put it to you in that other way, it's sort of like, how Jane Foster used to be a nurse, and you could minimize her with that, or you could say, no, that's just the job she had at the time. And actually, she was every bit as much a great healer as Don Blake was. She just, didn't have the chance yet. She had to get to that point where she could put herself in that position.
Or she used her nursing job to put herself through medical school or something.
Exactly. There's lots of possibilities, Phil. That's what I'm saying. Mm. So get your head out of your chauvinistic mindset.
Who, me?
Yeah, I don't know. No, but yeah, so that would be neat. I mean, yes, I did know Kat Dennings was in there. And actually, again, you threw me on that loop again, because it's like, really? Krysten Ritter's in it? Like, no, you said Kat Dennings, but that wasn't the word you said. But I'm talking about one thing, you're going in another way, and it's like, wow. Yes, I did know Kat Dennings was in there. And Park's in there.
Yeah.
I am interested in seeing if they're going to do a deeper dive on Jimmy Woo. Because Jimmy Woo, of course, as the head of the Agents of Atlas, is an interesting little side aspect of his character.
Or what if in the MCU, if it is Sword, what if they're cherry picking people? They're picking Jimmy Woo, they're getting Darcy, they're getting Monica Rambeau.
Well, but here's what I was going to say: if they do decide to explore Jimmy Woo as the head of Atlas or within his own group, you actually have a tie to that, to the Mandarin, the Ten Wings, and Shang-Chi. So you actually create this entire, because that's all the same group. That's all this interaction of secret supervillain societies that are actually trying to do good. Which again ties back into WandaVision and the idea that we're going to see both Strucker and Stark called out in the first two episodes. That as Strucker says at the end of, which one was that?
What?
Which one was that?
Age of Ultron? What?
Was that Age of Ultron? No, it wasn't Age of Ultron.
Oh, no. What? Strucker? Wait.
Strucker was at the end of something. It was at the end of Winter Soldier.
Well,
at the end of Winter Soldier.
Silver and Scarlet Witch, yeah.
Yeah, and he says, oh, yes, S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra, they're just two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
And the idea that you're going to start with Stark and then go to Strucker suggests that same two sides of the same coin is still at play. Similar to something that, similar to things that have been said throughout the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. series, the original Avengers film, about, the enemies of S.H.I.E.L.D. and then what is revealed in Winter Soldier about what the actual S.H.I.E.L.D. and its enemies are doing together. There's a lot going on here. I think that we're going to get a lot in WandaVision. I think we're going to get even more as it progresses on into Captain America and Bucky, the series. Of which, by the way, now Chris Evans is saying, I'm not negotiating a return to the Marvel Universe. Why would you even suggest that? That sounds stupid.
I think he said, this is news to me, but, you always got to wonder if if their people are dropping this, because if he does want to come back, it's like, oh, hey, look at all the interest we, on the internet this week.
Oh, I think that honestly, I think they'd be happy to have him back. Oh, yeah. I think that it's not for nothing. Robert Downey Jr.'s last movie was 6 movies ago.
Yeah.
It was he had to negotiate, and he said, okay, so what is it? So it's like Robert Downey Jr. coming back, Chris Evans coming back. None of these things are impossible.
No, I'm just wondering if it's contract. He got to negotiate a new contract, though.
Well, you have to negotiate a new contract, and you have to ask, well, what is it worth? So, for example, if we do Old Man Cap, director of S.H.I.E.L.D., is that how much does that cost? Do we want to de-age him? Are we planning on doing a Secret Empire story? What's the plan here? What are we building towards? Are we going to do some old school stuff? Are we going to do a William Burnside story? My favorite. We were going to tell Chris Evans, hey, Chris, you want to be a villain? And Chris would yes, I would very much like to be a villain. That sounds fun. Okay, well, there's this villainous guy who looks just like you in the Marvel Universe. His name is William Burnside, and he was the Captain America in the 50s, and he's got some pretty messed up ideas about, loyalty to the United States. Yeah. But anyway, these are possibilities. These are what make this early stage of speculation fun. You want to talk Thunderbolts, Phil?
Yes, Thunderbolts #1.
Thunderbolts with, among my many favorite characters, Batroc the Leaper. Yes. He's back. Batroc the Leaper is back. This is written by Matthew Rosenberg. You did a good job, Matt. You should be proud.
Yep.
I'm really surprised to see Star on this, because I thought she was one of these I'm a Living Infinity Stone people. But, so this is her shtick. I don't know who this Ampere guy is, and I kind of feel like he was created for this episode.
He might have been, yeah. I mean,
it's kind of weird. And then I know Mr. Fear isn't new to this, but it does seem like he's kind of just added in here. I don't know if they maybe read a couple things for him, but it just seems
there's been a couple Mr. Fears, so I mean that could really be anybody. Yeah.
Yeah, one of my favorite things in this is when Rhino basically says, "Yeah, I'm leaving," and Taskmaster's saying, "Fine, we got a job. No one leaves. We're sticking together." And then it says, "I'm leaving." It says, "Hey, sure, big guy. I didn't mean you." It says, "Why does he get to leave?" It says, "Because he's the Rhino, and I can't make him stay. All you other mooks I can make stay," which is delightful. Of course, Fist says they can't wear masks because no masks, which is fair enough. Fair enough. We get a nice little Suicide Squad call out when we're the bad guys. Mr. Fear steals the jewelry. Yeah, I know. Anyway, and they're basically fighting all of the
symbiotes,
various things. I forget who they're going to Ravencroft. That's right, because they need to get to
Norman.
Well, Norman Osborn. But we get a great scene because Batroc stays behind to fight the bad guys to save everybody, and then you think you're going to leave him behind. It's like, no, I am the Leaper. That is literally my name. I don't have a superpower, but I'm really good at jumping. And what I love about this is he does he does do a tumble. Yeah, he does a tumble. I actually think that it would have been better had he actually done a leap like you do in ballet, where you extend the leg, because that's how you actually make sure you have the length to hit the ground and then move your next leg over. But anyway, they did it the typical way that they usually do these things. But
I just love this when he jumps on the boat and they're like, "Did the symbiotes touch you?" He's like, "No." Batroc does not get touched unless he desires it.
Yes, which does make you think that he's probably got a symbiote on his butt, and you just don't know it. I mean, that is classic zombie.
Yeah.
Oh no, I do not have the zombie bite. What do you mean? Yes, and you do have the one bit here. You see, we see the symbiote hand reaching out to him. It's getting shocked by electricity, so maybe not, but. How much symbiote you need to actually infect someone is always the question. And they go to the Ravencroft Institute, and of course all the lights, which is actually, this is kind of weird, because clearly the lights are on in Ravencroft Institute. But when they go to the doorway, it's like dark in the hallway, so I don't know what that's about, aside from dramatic effect.
Yeah, because Norman.
Yeah, Norman. Because Norman. That's what we can say. And shout out to Mike Hobson.
Oh, yes.
Well, all the greats leave us eventually. That is the sorrow. You read Immortal Hulk?
Yes, I did.
This was interesting.
Yes.
I'm not sure how I feel about Samson taking over Sasquatch's body and him becoming green now.
That's all right. He'll die and go through his own door eventually.
Yeah, eventually. I like Puck, and I definitely like Titania in this. Oh, I hate Guy Ritchie. Everyone hates Guy Ritchie. Guy Ritchie is there to be hated. But we do get the Doctor back. Now she's with Chelsea, with McGee, and that apparently now McGee is a gamma mutate too. What? Because she was at the place where everything exploded, and we see that. See, this is the thing. This is the fourth wall breaky stuff that She-Hulk does. This is where, when you're a gamma mutate, you can see other layers of reality. Mm. That's something that's established. That is something that I guess is the idea behind all of this. Interesting is that a lot of these things she's seeing, they look a lot like the various mystical beings that were shown in, I think it was a couple of Doctor Stranges ago.
Oh.
When he first meets, what's her name? Zelma?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh no, you see, you just don't realize these things are swimming around us all the time. But it's like bacteria. Some are benign and some are dangerous. So I thought that was a nice callback. It goes to that overall cosmology of the universe. The leader's frustration about how he's trying to connect with the thing below all things, but in fact, as always, he weren't as smart as he thought he were.
Nope. Yeah, because he tried to absorb Brian Banner. He's like, no, there was someone else here with me first.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is the thing. But then, this is the part you wanted to see. This is what we love. The ultimate.
Oh, the end. Yes.
The UFOs.
Yep.
The UFOs. The folks who tried to recreate the Fantastic Four's experiment, and it worked, sort of. That's what's weird about it. It's like it actually kind of worked, and they actually got all the superpowers. And for some reason, the UFOs actually tend to, generally speaking, have way more control of their powers than the Fantastic Four do. Because we've seen them all like revert to human forms on occasion.
Even Ironclad? Even he?
Ironclad, I think, has reverted to human form in the past. You know, we see Vapor do it all the time.
Oh yeah.
And, which is the weirdest with Vapor, because Vapor's like whole thing is like, oh no, she can never be solid. But then it's like, oh no, now she's solid. It's like, nah, you know, she couldn't, but then she could. But maybe that's like, you know, your Sue Storm. I'm invisible. I don't have these powers. Well, now I do, so I'm better, you know? No. But yeah, I want to say that I've seen them all be humanoid in the past. But, you know, with Ironclad, I also think it's possibly, and same with X-Ray, where it's like they enjoy being the monster more, you know? Yeah. That's always a possibility, Phil.
But now they're working for the government, for Gyrick.
Well, they've worked for the government before.
Yeah.
They actually used to be, I believe they were the official super team for Maryland under Hammer.
Yeah.
On the 50 State Initiative. A Man Among Ye, this was a good book. I think I already talked about it on Capes, but I really recommend pick up the 4 issues of A Man Among Ye. There may be a 5th issue, I don't know yet, but our writer said a tearful goodbye at the end of this 4th issue, and it kind of has a big heel turn at the end, which I thought is cool, and it's a pretty awesome crew of pirates, so highly recommend Man Among Ye for those folks at home. Anything you want to talk about, Phil?
No, I don't think so.
No, because we talked about Spider-Man over on Capes. We talked about Gwenom over on Capes. So, yeah, I think this is a nice short episode. I hope everyone enjoyed listening to it. If you didn't enjoy listening to it, have you thought that it might be because you have bad headphones?
Maybe. And
if you just go to tweakedaudio.com, use the coupon code Southgate at checkout, you can get some really fine headphones at a discount. And then when you're done there, you can go over to hunterkiller.com, use that exact same coupon code, and get another discount on helping Michelle Gray solve a cold case, which would be fun. It's like having an escape room delivered to your house. It's awesome. Meanwhile, if none of that interests you, just go down to our show notes, click on the Amazon link, go to Amazon, and through the magic of cookies, everyone will know that you listened to our show and then went to Amazon and bought whatever the heck it is you wanted, because they got everything there, including Pod Life the Book, a book written by the Southgate Media Group family for you to both read in paper form or in digital form, and possibly someday audiobook form. So check that out. And in the meantime, Philip, if someone wanted to reach out to you and talk to you, how can they do that?
If they want to get a hold of any of us, they can always email capesandlunatics@gmail.com or call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And you can find links to all of our social media for all of our shows, links to our YouTube channel, our Patreon, our merch. All of it's at Linktree, linktr.ee/capesandlunatics.
Okay. And, of course, if you'd like to write to me in that old-fashioned email way, the way our moms and pops once did, do so at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, at gmail.com. And, of course, follow me on the Twitter. It's a live tweet, DuckTales of Woohoo, maybe other shows like possibly the Trickster. If I remember, at Charlie Esser, that's CharlieEsser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle. For what?
For quality. Bing!
Thank you, Maz. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for connecting with us once again this week. Why don't you come back next week and super connect with us once again. Good night.
Good night. And anywhere you hear this show, Capes and Lunatics, or Enough Said, you will hear Charlie Esser and Mozman Zor reviewing WandaVision episode by episode.
We're going to try.
You're going to try?
We're going to try. We're going to try and review it. We may just talk about other stuff, you know. Wow. Use the... it's a jumping off point.
Oh, I know.
We may talk, you know, esoteric philosophy instead. As we do